Yo, what's going on guys? It's T-Hawk here, and today I want to bring you an amazing video that will help you with COD World War II. So basically what I'm doing with this is I'm going to break down the list of every single gun in Call of Duty World at War because it was a World War II shooter. What is COD World War II? Obviously World War II. It says it in the title. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these weapons and see which ones have the best chance of making it back into the new game, as well as a couple weapons at the end that I would either like to see in the game because they're very interesting weapons, or weapons that I think are just generally can be well balanced or very nice to have in the game as far as gameplay goes. So let's move right on into it. We'll go from top left to right, obviously, and work our way down the list. So what we have first is our sniper rifles. We have, and I will not pronounce half of these names right, so I am sorry in advance. So let's start off. We have the Springfield, the Risaka, the Mosin Nagant, the Kar 98K, and the PTRS 41, as well as the SVT 40. Now, all of these sniper rifles, other than the PTRS, can have the scope removed. I'm pretty sure you can't take the scope off the PT, but I can't remember. I haven't played the game in a long time. But from what we have here, we can see that when you can take your scope on and off, we say, okay, well, either these engagements are going to be a lot quicker because now people aren't going to run a scope and they're going to try to have like some type of perk set up to where they can just run around and no scope, or possibly everyone's going to run a scope because the maps will be big enough and dense enough for that. So looking at this list, it's probably safe to say that the PTRS 41 will stay because it is a pre-scoped weapon. And looking at the unscoped weapons, I'm going to say probably we will get most of them back. I don't think we'll get the SVT 40 just because I don't think it stands out far enough ahead of the top 4, but it could come back and we could also see new ones. Let's move into assault rifles. We have the Guerre 43, the M1 Grand. Everyone knows the M1 Grand, the STG 44, and M1A1 Carbine. Now, from what I can remember, the carbine, it was a pretty okay weapon, but it was outshined by the STG 44. It was just such a good assault rifle, high stopping power. The only problem was it was recoil. Now, looking into this game again based on these weapons, recoil is going to be an issue in this game, guys. If you can find a weapon that has little recoil, you'll probably have a better chance compared to some of these people who have more recoil, especially in mid to long range engagements. Close range, you might not be so lucky unless it's a really slow fire rate weapon. But other than that, it's just down to can you hit your shot. So I believe that we will have all of these back in the game. Obviously, we just need more assault rifles. We can't just have 4 assault rifles. There were so many weapons in World War II. We need way more. So I expect them to give us a lot more than this. I assume we'll have at least like 6 or 7 assault rifles. Moving on, we go into the submachine guns. We have our Thompson, MP40, Type 100, and PPSH 41. Now, we all remember the MP40 and PPSH 41. For those of you who played back in World at War, these were the 2 god guns. I believe the MP40, they are going to tone it down quite a bit because otherwise it will run rampant in this game. This gun is amazing in other COD titles, and I like the gun, but I hope it does not come on as strong as all the rest of the other versions have in previous titles. The PPSH 41, I assume it's going to get the Vesper treatment and be either really high recoil or really bad range, because back in the day this thing would sweep you off the map like it's nothing. Type 100 is a well all-round sniper or SMG, and the Thompson, it kind of looks like an AR, kind of looks like an SMG. I remember using it a little bit, but for the most part, I assume that all of these weapons, we will be getting them back. We will have some prototypes, possibly. I don't know what they want to do with that. But we could have prototype versions of submachine guns or other popular versions also introduced, because just like the assault rifles, there's too few submachine guns. Then moving on to shotguns, we only have two. We have a double barrel shotgun and an M1897 trench gun. Now, looking at these, the double barrel shotgun, I assume, will have a sawed off version either as a separate weapon or an attachment. I assume it would be an attachment to saw off the barrel to give it more damage. The trench gun, I think we're going to have more weapons like the trench gun come with this game, or something around what it's like. Just because I feel like we need maybe 3 or 4 shotguns in this game. Maybe we'll have some type of single shot shotgun that shoots one single bullet if they had anything like that back in the day. Nothing really comes to mind, but like I said, if they use experimental weapons, something like that could show up, or prototype weapons. Moving on into the LMGs, another big list of weapons, just like the sniper rifles. Everything else was pretty small list, but this was pretty big too. We have our Type 99, our BAR, DP28, MG42, FG42, and our M1919 Browning. Now, with our M19 Browning, it's a pretty good LMG. From what I remember, it had pretty good power, and most of these weapons did have pretty good power. But as far as returning back into this game, I can see the DP28 and the Browning, and possibly the Type 99 as well, definitely having a lockdown position in this title. Now, the reason I say that is because these are very, very distinctive. Like, when you see them, you say, hey, that's such and such weapon. Okay, well, the Type 99 has a mag on top, the DP has a round disc mag, and the M1919 Browning is just a big box with a huge barrel hanging off the end of it. It is gorgeous. Now, looking at the other ones, they're kind of your run-of-the-mill LMGs. The BAR, for those of you who didn't play this game back in the day, it kind of looks like a Stoner 63 from Black Ops. From what I remember, it shoots very, very slow though. Kind of like a Gorgon. So I wouldn't recommend really using that one too much, possibly, depending on the recoil of it. I think the recoil wasn't too bad, but it was very, very slow for what it was. But yeah, we might see some new weapons come into this category as well. Like I said, I don't know what they're doing with the whole prototype deal, but we'll see what happens. Moving on into pistols, we have our M1911, which we all know, our 357 Magnum. It's just a normal revolver. Tokarev TT33, I assume is the same thing as the Makarov from Black Ops. The Walther P38 and the Nambu, I assume there's something like the ASP, but I'm not quite sure. I can't remember how they used to shoot, but you know, we'll figure it out. And as far as going into weapons that I think will be or should be in the game, or I would like to see in the game because of what they are, moving into that list, we have 3 SMGs and 2 pistols. They usually seem to be the more creative weapons in these games. So let's take a look at them. The Sten, we already know the Sten's coming. The Sten will be in Call of Duty World War II 100%. It's in Advanced Warfare and everything else. The M50, it kind of reminds me of what a Thompson looks like. So explaining this weapon is like this. Back in Black Ops 3 Alpha, the VMP used to be a 20-round weapon. It used to be strong and slower. So with the M50, I can see that being an actual thing in this game because they already had this idea, but now they can actually use it because it was a real weapon. And I see this as being one of those top weapons that the pros use, because this will be a crossover between SMG and an AR. It had 12 to 20 rounds in a mag. I assume they would go for 20 round variant. 500 to 550 RPMs. It's a pretty good fire rate. The Sten has 500 RPMs. So it's somewhere at that or a little bit higher. Next one, we have the M3A1. I personally want this to be in this game because it looks cool. It was also called the grease gun because it looks like an actual grease gun. Now, the history on this weapon is, compared to the Thompson, it is easier, faster, and cheaper in every single way to build compared to the Thompson, just because the parts are not as complex and it's built cheaply. Now, it has 450 RPMs with a 30 round mag. That's a pretty good standing weapon as far as the rest of the list goes. It's kind of like a Scorpion, kind of, just because it's kind of a slower SMG, but it could probably put in a bit more damage, possibly, however they want to balance it. Moving on into the pistols, these are kind of the two things I really want to see in the game because they're very interesting, but I find it very hard to believe that they'll actually put them in the game. So what we have here is the FP45 Liberator. Now, 1 million or more of these pistols were mass produced. These were dropped out of planes and supply drops for normal civilians and other people to get their hands on and take out officers or whoever was threatening them or whatever at the time. It was to help liberate these people. That's why it gets the name the Liberator. Now, from what I see, it's a 5 or 6 shot pistol. However, they want to go on developing it because it holds 5 in the magazine. But I guess they could put 1 in the chamber to make it a clean 6. But I don't really know what they want to do. This weapon was very cheaply built, and it was made out of stamped metal, so they could mass produce them quick, very cheaply, and just throw them together. They only weighed 1 pound, so that was pretty cool. Also, the next pistol, this one I found a tad bit more interesting than the previous one, but I really like suppressed weapons, so this is really why it caught my attention. It's called the Well Rod. It's a 6 shot, and it was made by the British War Office back in the day. Now, from what I saw, there was only 2,300 of these ever put out into the field. It was put under the category of a suppressed assassin's pistol, and I see it coming into the game because it's very distinctive. It is a bolt action pistol. Now, the only issue with this weapon is it's bolt action. It's pre-suppressed, so it doesn't have any real range. In real life, the real effective range of it was 50 feet, so I assume in COD it would translate into shotgun ranges and shotgun damage at range. So this is going to be a very close-up pistol, kind of like the one-shot pistol from Black Ops 3, minus it being like a baby sniper rifle. This one's basically either a ungodly hand cannon or you're too far away and you're shooting a marshmallow. But I found that very distinctive weapon, and I thought it looked really cool. If there are any weapons that you guys want to see in the game, comment down below and let me know what they are. I really like these ideas of possibly having weapons that were never actually in the war, like prototype weapons. If we could get those in the game, that would look pretty cool too. I assume they'll do something like that anyway because of supply drops. I can't really think of anything else they would put in the supply drops other than prototype weapons. I wouldn't assume they'd come out with variants. That just doesn't make any sense in this type of game. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. It really lets me know that you guys like the video. Also, I will have more content like this in the future, so please subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this. So thanks for watching, guys. This is T-Hawk, and I'm signing out.